Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, in the state of California. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Nope, my name is Mike P. Waworski. I will be your co-host today, coming to you from the East Coast, coast with the most, from the co-host with the most. Here on a rundown. Craig, how's your weekend going? It's Friday, about two and a half days into your weekend. How things going for you?
If the things are going phenomenally, enjoying time actually hanging out with my granddaughter today.
Very nice, very nice. Got the big brain over there with you. Nice, I like it.
Oh yes, she's out there banging on the door. Papa, let me in.
Let me in. Need cookie.
Things are
Very
good.
cool.
Things are good. Loving life. The weather's supposed to be nice and comfortable this weekend. I got a big Politico meeting coming up this weekend. Talk about conservatives taking over California. Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Let's see if we can actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll happen. It's good dreaming. Conservatives taking over.
Well, we
California.
can always do better because Lord knows in California we can't do much worse.
True. I'm trying to think of the ways you could have California actually take over, or conservatives take over California. Probably would need, bulldozers and things like that. And set up little traps with like a little box with a stick underneath it, and underneath it put free healthcare. And just when they go, you pull the string and trap them.
Well, the thing is that things have gotten so bad. Liberals have gotten so bad and so out of control. The stuff that they're proposing is so out of control and crazy. All we have to do is to focus on proposing legitimate alternatives and doing so in a non-crazy fashion, and then running for local office in places where we have an opportunity to win. At least that's my perspective.
You want to do something opposed to what they want, even though it's a good idea? You would see me in racist stuff. You want to do racist stuff.
Dude, hey, like I said, I've been on the school board for almost 18 years in an area, and I am a card-carrying member of the vast right-wing conspiracy. And,
yes.
And by the way, we govern our school district as a conservative, and I'm in an area that's largely Democrat. So,
I'm saying you show up in other parts of the state with legitimate alternative ideas that make sense. They're just going to call you a racist because they got nothing else to call you. But you're just a racist. What do you mean, just a racist?
That's all I got.
That's
that's
their go-to. That's all they got.
That's all I got.
That's all they got.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, folks, hey, by the way, for those of you who are watching, encourage your friends to do the same. Like, share, subscribe. However you're watching us, YouTube, Facebook, OpsLens, Spotify, encourage them to do so. If you're just listening to us, make sure to tell them listen however you listen to your podcast. But the one thing that I want to make sure that we did today, and I wanted because we touched on it a little bit yesterday. We talked about President Donald Trump, and we talked about this awesome video that he had put out. That was in contrast to some of the how shall I say, the poop that the left has put forward in regards to Donald Trump. The Dick Cheney video.
Yeah.
Anyway, but and afterwards, I want to raise the question: is Donald Trump going to run? What do you think? All right, let's check out the video.
Hey, I know this video.
Yeah, that would be the wrong video. I thought that I already put the other one up. That would be the wrong video. For those of you who are listening, I know you're wondering, like, what the heck was that? Yeah, that was the intro again. So don't worry. My bad. But we'll make it work this time. Here it is.
We are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in over 40 years, where the stock market just finished the worst first half of a year in more than 5 decades. We are a nation that has the highest energy cost in its history, and we are no longer energy independent or energy dominant, which we were just 2 short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for oil. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world. We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. We're a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before. We've never seen anything like this. We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is about all you get. We're a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant like never before, where the economy has been collapsing, where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020. We're a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it's taken from the United States to build a military to rival our own. We are a nation that over the past 2 years is no longer respected or listened to all around the world. And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty and freedom and faith. We are a nation whose economy is floundering, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every list. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. But soon we will have greatness again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it is hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. Ever, ever, ever. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never, ever back down. We will never let you down. As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a little chance. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and God alone. And it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again.
Now, I got to tell you, first of all, the first thing that got me with that is it is a reminder that when Donald Trump stays on message, no one can top him. Nobody. Because
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at that. Yeah.
he is telling the truth. Now, he has a tendency sometimes to do what I call, to exaggerate, what I call put dubs on it. But he does that to make a point sometimes. But there's not a whole lot that I can look at in that speech and say, yeah, no, there's not a whole lot that I can quibble with that is in that speech. The one thing I really liked about it was, you know what? He didn't blame. You notice he didn't blame the Democrats, because here's the thing, folks. It wasn't just the Democrats who did it. It's the Republicans who let them.
Yeah, very true. You know, it was not about pointing the finger at one party or another. It was about the current status of items. So that's what he went over. That's what he gave you. You know, and you listen. You don't have to be a mathematician to do the math to figure out who caused those problems.
Right. I will tell you right now. First of all, I am now in belief after watching that video. I'm in belief that he's running, and I'm also.
So wait, hold on. You're in belief now, even though I told you in November I had confirmation.
Yes.
You didn't believe me. You didn't believe me.
Okay. I did believe you. I did believe you, but I'm like, look, right. All I had before was your word, and that was enough, for you and I to say, yeah, he's running. Yeah. But I'm talking about. This is evidence that I can present to someone else. I can't go to my buddy and say, yeah, well, my buddy Mike has confirmation that Donald Trump is running. This is public
evidence.
I'm just saying. How about that?
That's how it worked. But okay, all right, good. No. The video's intense, timed perfectly. Right? They dropped this the day of the raid, the night of the raid, or the day after the raid, and it makes you wonder: is this because of the raid? Has this timeline been stepped up a little? Has this been released a little bit earlier than they intended it to be released, or is this right about the time they were going to release it anyway with the midterms coming up. What do you think?
I heard someone postulate that he actually baited the FBI to raid his home, because all they've done is help him. All this has done is every poll that is out there, and you've got Republicans and Democrats alike that are saying, look, you better have gotten a smoking gun out of this raid, because if you didn't, this looks like political. This looks like a weaponizing of law enforcement.
Yeah. This is banana republicery all day long.
Right. I'm just praying. I'm like, okay, Donald, stay on message. Just stay on message. The speeches you have these folks prepare for you, because whenever he does the prepared speeches, he does phenomenally. But I think you also made a very good point. When he's doing the rallies, the not prepared speeches, that's what the folks at the rallies come to see. That's what they come to hear.
Yeah. The dubs. They like the dubs. Yeah.
They like the dubs. They like when it's like stand-up comedy. That's what they enjoy.
Well,
right?
it's to them, it's the personalization,
Yes.
It's now he's talking to them one-on-one,
Right. I'm just hoping that his communications are more strategic. Throw in some strategery there. to use a George W. Bush word.
Right. But his messages could be so much simpler now, right?
Yes.
Instead of before, predicting what he was going to do entirely with the government, he's going to be like, we're going to fix what they screwed up. We had it right before.
Well, and the fact that they've screwed it up so quickly from where it was.
Yeah.
I mean, we were coming out of the pandemic. We had a vaccine that people could voluntarily take. I mean, I see a lot of people blaming Trump for like the shutdowns, but literally he recommended the 2-week shutdown, but he didn't say nothing was mandatory, and he didn't advocate for shutting down beyond that. He didn't advocate for shutting down the schools. Even though he pushed for the vaccine to be created, he never ever was planning on, or at least never said he was going to mandate it.
Right. We saw it. It was a 2-week shutdown as well,
Right.
To flatten the curve.
Right.
And then we spent the next year fighting with Democrat governors and Democrat mayors that had mandates forcing everything to shut down. Everything that went from state to federal Supreme Courts. The president he gave in. I'll say this, and I don't agree with him. He gave in over the 2-week pressure. Remember, this all happened after his incredible State of the Union address, when we were on top of everything. Less than 2 weeks later, we've got COVID now, and then the 2 weeks. I believe he gave in on that 2 weeks, and it was a mistake that cost him the presidency. One of the reasons, but and then the rest of it was the Democrats just took control and never let him have it back.
Well, once again, I understood the 2 weeks only because we didn't know what we didn't know. So I kind of got that, but the problem was that it gave the Democrats the impetus to continue to keep things shut down. You're 100% correct. In the end,
Correct.
It turned out to be a political mistake.
Yes.
One from which he would never. And that was the other thing. During that time, a lot of Democrats politicized COVID, and I made it a
Yes.
point. I remember I started unfriending, unfollowing, unsubscribing from people unconnecting from people who politicized COVID. Because at that point, we didn't know what was going on, once again, you had Democrats who were like, they wanted the president to put all these mandates. Basically, they wanted the shutdowns, they wanted to force the vaccines, they wanted all this stuff. And I'm sorry, but you know what? And the reason why they wanted to politicize the COVID was because they knew that this was the only chance they had to beat Donald Trump. They used COVID to change all the voting rules.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's they wrestled a successful economy away from him.
Mm-hmm. What's
With
funny
the
is,
COVID.
even if you look over at NBC News, even NBC News is like, yeah, no, this FBI search will not stop Trump from running, and they're saying it might encourage him. I'm gonna tell you right now, it put it into overdrive. If he does not run, it will be I will be shocked. It will be the news of 2022. It'll be the news of the decade if he does not run for re-election.
Well, he's running. We know that. Let's see. Let me give you the one quote that I saw. the other day. This was wonderful. This is concerning. It says, I have strongly considered voting for DeSantis in the primary if he ran. But this morning, after reading this BS, I will crawl over broken glass to vote for Trump. And I don't care if they turn up video that he did shoot someone on Fifth Avenue.
Right. Because, see, and this is what the left never understood was that what Donald Trump represented is a defiance and a poke in the eye to the establishment, to say, look, we're sick and we're tired, and we're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I get that there are people who have issues with how Donald Trump conducted himself and all of that, but those very same people who are sick and tired are sick and tired again. Now they're realizing, yeah, I would rather have Orange Man with mean tweets than what we have in the White House right now. And anybody else who's looking to run, I mean, think about any Democrat who might potentially run other than Joe Biden is going to implement the same policies.
Yes.
They're going to do the same exact thing. So why would we want more of that? And I think the American public got a chance to see what more of Joe Biden, what more of Barack Obama and Joe Biden will give them.
Yeah, there you go. It's that simple. It's that
So
simple.
all we're waiting for now, folks, is the official announcement that Donald Trump is running. I'm thinking, and to be real with you, I'm thinking that Ron DeSantis, whether he enters the race, I would expect if he did, it's going to be a congenial, conversation until he decides to bow out, and if he does, then it will eventually be the vice presidential nominee. Because
he's not going to run for president. He's continuing to run for governor here.
Right.
Now he may be persuaded into the vice presidency later on, but
Later on,
his
yeah.
plan here is to stay in Florida for at least another term. So,
right. So there you go, man. Hey, folks, you wanted him, you got him. I know those of you who hate Donald Trump, if you didn't want him, you know what? You shouldn't have poked the bear.
that's
You
it.
poke the bear.
Exactly right.
You poke the bear, you get what you get. Do not be surprised, folks, if we're looking at another 4 years of Donald Trump, because we're definitely not looking at another 4 years of Joe Biden. That ain't happening.
No, definitely not.
That
Definitely
is not in the cards. All right, moving right along. We have long talked on this show about self-defense stories and how the media and the Federal Bureau of Investigations undercounts the number of instances where armed citizens utilize a firearm in self-defense. And our good friend from the, the
Crime Research Prevention Center.
Crime Research Prevention. That's right. The prevention was the word I was looking for. From the Crime Research Prevention. He actually has a new article out. It's over at Real Clear Investigations, where he's pointing out how the FBI undercounts armed citizens and mass killers, and the media play along. Now, in this article, he points to a number of different ways in which they do it. You want to, Mike, just kind of point out a couple of the ways that he notes in the article about how they wind up or why they wind up undercounting.
Well, they undercount. The reason or how they undercount is they simply don't report it. They undercount it. It's at a minimum of 10%. It's always the defensive gun uses where the shootings are stopped. Those are the ones that they don't highlight. Those are the ones that are always left out. There's so if they report, and I think the numbers in here, Craig, were something like 250, mass shootings. They don't report the additional 40 that were stopped by someone. Now it's a fine line. I'll say that. How do you say that this was a mass shooting that was stopped? If technically if it's stopped, there should be nobody shot or should be minimal shots. So it's one of those really hard, items to nail down. But the FBI purposely leaves out many where there are. The bad guy comes in and the good guy takes them down. So there's a lot of that not reported at all.
Right. So the 10% difference you were talking about is the FBI reports about 4.4% of active shooter incidents are thwarted by armed citizens. And the Crime Prevention Research Center determined it was 14.4. And though the factors, like you said, that you stated that make clear, like you said, if a shooting incident occurs and someone shoots one person and an armed citizen draws a firearm and shoots them, well, that's an incident where only 2 people were shot and one of them was the perpetrator. That is not classified as a mass shooting event, right?
Yeah. But they should look at those other. Listen, if a guy walks in with a 2-shot revolver or 2-shot Derringer, right? Mm-hmm. It's pretty clear he's not going to go kill 20 people. But you got these guys like what just happened where old Eli did. You walk into the mall and there's a guy with 2 rifles and 2 handguns and 200 rounds of ammo, and you take that guy down before he can shoot more than one.
Right.
That should be clearly a mass shooting prevented, but they don't give that credit.
Right. Well, and the same thing is true of incidents like if no shots are fired at all, if simply the presence or the brandishing of the firearm is successful in thwarting someone from engaging in a violent act, those instances aren't counted at all. And by the way, that all factors into the number of times an armed citizen uses a firearm to defend themselves. FBI doesn't count any of that data as well.
And that's even harder to rate. Right. Again, I'm not trying to give any credence to the FBI because we've figured out amongst ourselves, the industry and the CRPC there, that it's only about 10% of defensive gun uses that are reported because most of them are just the showing or the visualization of the firearm makes the bad guy leave. And then
and who's
the
going
good
to
guy
call the
says,
cops and say, I do my firearm?
I'm not sticking around for
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sticking around to be scrutinized. I'm leaving also.
Exactly. So, once again, for folks out there,
it's definitely a hard science. But the one fact that remains clear is the FBI underreports it on purpose.
Right. Exactly. Which is why it's important that you have people on all sides who are not biased against the Second Amendment actually creating and doing some of this data. I would love to see more organizations doing research, but number 2, at the very least, spending some time checking, peer reviewing some of these studies that come out of places like the University of California at Davis Gun Violence Prevention Center, which once again, them or the folks over at Johns Hopkins who have a gun violence center, these are all entities that are funded by anti-gunners, by people who hate the Second Amendment, and it's not surprising that and I will use the air quotes, research that they do turns out to be anti-gun. Funny how that works.
Absolutely. Very true.
All right. Now, this is not the ATF. This is the AFT. This is the American Federation of Teachers.
AFT?
No, this is not the AFT, which is basically Biden's ATF. This is the American Federation of Teachers actually put out a memo, a promotion, in order to help teachers learn or help them to be able to work with children to be able to change their pronouns without their parents knowing. Now, here's what's interesting. So they send out these things and they're talking to teachers about, how to use pronouns or how to help kids identify their pronouns, and then asking them, well, is it okay to use your pronouns when I'm calling you at home? Right? In other words, they're encouraging kids to lie to their parents about what's going on at school or to change their pronouns and then not tell their parents. They're encouraging them to keep secrets, Mike, from their parents.
Craig, we always say, teachers, they're so great. It's the future. They have to, they raise the children. They give them they teach them to read, write, and they don't make enough money. And then you have this crap, right? Then you have what teachers are doing. We just saw the big fight in Florida here with the teachers complaining because the governor wanted to send in or give some temporary exemptions to some military folks so they get their teaching certificates a little bit earlier. And the teachers got all up in a roar about it. And then you pull this nonsense. This is not how you're going to win anybody back. Okay. This is the kind of crap that you need to be standing up for when it comes across your desk and say, not only no, but hell no. This is why I think, perhaps we need to reevaluate the teacher certification program. And I hate to say it. What do they say? Those that can't do teach. Now, there's a great batch of people out there that are incredible teachers, and it's been their drive and been their determination. And then you get the rest of them in there that do this kind of crap. I'd fire these teachers if they laid this in on the desk of a student in my jurisdiction. I'd fire these teachers flat out.
This is a trip. Can I call you this name outside of class? The card said. May I use these pronouns when calling home?
Put that picture up. Show them that. Show them this checkoff list. Read it off of there. Let's see. This is not just a teacher asking the question and taking notes. This is like a test form, and they get to fill. They get to take a look at it. If you'll scroll down, I know it's there. I saw the pictures of it.
There it is, right there.
There you go. Yeah.
So you have the student fill that out, so that once again they can help the student lie to their parents.
Yes.
Right. Because here's the thing. Ultimately, this is a conversation that parents need to be having with their children. We as parents are and you've heard me say this uncounted number of times, we as parents are the first and primary educators of our children. We are responsible for both the moral education and the intellectual education and the preparation for them to exist in life, to be successful in life. And we delegate some of that responsibility to the classroom, but we do not abdicate. We do not give up either our right or our responsibility to determine what our children are supposed to be taught. This is the sort of statist, revolutionary, Marxist, socialist crap that you're learning now in schools of education all across the country, especially in the elite institutions like Harvard and Yale and Princeton and Columbia, where they are what I like to phrase as educated into imbecility.
Yeah. I'm lucky enough. I live in one of those states where if the teachers try this nonsense, not only will they get fired, they may end up in jail. It's illegal now in Florida.
Yep. Gotta love it. I'm telling you, wow. Florida is the place to be. Florida is definitely a place to be, if not.
We're full though. We're full. We're full though. Stay away. Everybody stay away. We're full. We're full.
Sure you are.
We're full.
All right, Mike, this next story I wanted you to share, because this was one I was wondering when Mike sent this story over, I didn't know what he had going on here, but this is actually an excellent example of climate change nonsense and how they.
I believe fraud's the word you're looking for.
Fraud. There you go. Fraud. All right. So go ahead, Mike.
Lies.
Pitch the idea.
Yeah, listen, I did for those little behind the scenes, right? Craig and I send each other stories all day long, leading up to the show, and I like to put some fake stories in there for him and see if he catches it or not. And then at the last second before show, he's got to change the title on the title card you saw. But this one was one that I saw. It was great. Little airplane, Craig. This is in Switzerland in the Alps. They have a little airplane, little 4-seat Piper Cherokee aircraft there. Crashed in 1968. So you're looking at just over 50 years ago, right? Crashed in 1968 up there in the Alps. And as you read this story, it says, and it's the first line right there, Craig. Extreme heat in Switzerland is melting glaciers at such a rate that wreckage from a plane crash from more than 50 years ago and human remains are being discovered. So, wow, Craig, I first thought that's amazing, that the ice melted and they discovered this plane crash and the remains of these individuals in 50 years ago, which made me think, Craig, so at what level was the ice more than 50 years ago? So, I mean, I don't think this plane landed and the people dug a hole and buried their plane and got in the hole and died together. I'm pretty sure the plane crashed, and sounds like over the past maybe first 20 or 30 years, Craig, ice accumulated over the plane. And then for 25 or 30 years, ice melted away from the plane. It's not like they found a woolly mammoth, Craig. Okay, there's not a bunch of cavemen they found there. Right? This is something from 50 years ago. So in the past 50 years, this item was completely covered in ice and then melted away and revealed what was there. Does that sound
in
like
essence, we went from global
climate change to
cooling
you?
to global warming in
Yep.
less than 50 years. Now, mind you, all they've been talking about is how degrees change, like a degree on average over 100 years, right?
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
supposed to be catastrophic. I'm looking at this and it's like, so wait a minute. So you're saying that the climate changed in the last 50 years? So at some point in the last 50 years, we were going through global cooling. And then all of a sudden
Yes.
the climate changed. And now all
Yep.
of a sudden we're going through global warming.
Yep.
And by the way, we're putting out about the same, if not less, particulates now than we were then. So are you now saying,
less now.
Huh?
It's definitely less now than it was in 1968. That's
Yeah.
for damn sure.
Yeah.
So,
So-
1968 was choke on the air kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So now are you so what's to say that the climate doesn't change again and we start going through global cooling again?
Yeah. Here's one of those places. This is like, this is where they take their benchmarks from. This is like going to
Right.
the Arctic or the Antarctic, or going to the tops of mountains and watching the glaciers melt. So according to 54 years right here, Greg, here's your evidence that in 54 years, we were at a such point where the ice was lower. Then we were at such a point where the ice was thicker and higher. And now we're back lower again. We've watched
Right.
it change twice in 54 years.
Right. Which, by the way, tells you, because guess what? Climates change.
Yeah.
Whether we're here
You're
or
exactly
not,
right.
whether we're doing something or
Yep.
not. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think any of us are saying we need to just spew all sorts of chemicals in the air, right? I
No.
think we're in agreement with that. But
Mexico
the
too,
the
yeah.
degree to which we affect climate change is, by the way, up for debate.
Yes. Absolutely. So take it with
Especially
a
when
grain
you're
of
offering
salt.
soft ass
Don't-
evidence like this.
Yeah. And you know what? I right now that there's probably editors and newspapers out there kicking themselves. They're like, oh my God. Did what we just put proof out there that this is crap. They're like,
They don't stop to think about
they
stuff like
didn't
that.
realize what they did,
Right. Well, as we move on to our parting shot, I wanted to. This was one that Mikey found. Well, Mike always finds the best ones. I hate to say that, but he does. You always find the best parting shots. And this one is
I'm a meme
indicative.
lord.
Let me just tell you. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. Now that there are additional IRS agents that are going to be hired, probably this one needs to be changed just a little bit. But in the end, just be careful, because if you are a supporter of Donald Trump and if you decide to wear your MAGA hat, this too might happen to you. You want to describe it, Mike?
You got Snoopy and Charlie Brown there getting ready to go play some baseball, and they're wearing their red ball caps. And the FBI is raiding Snoopy's doghouse. And Charlie says, I knew playing in red baseball caps was a mistake.
Political persecution.
Snoopy should be biting them dogs. He should be biting them
He
feds.
should be biting them. Nah, be careful.
He's
man.
lucky it's not the ATF, or they would have shot him.
You literally just beat me to the punch. I was about to say, if that was the AFT, he'd be in trouble.
They just shot old Snoop.
All right, sir. Well, hey, how about it's about that time? How about a quick shout out to our sponsors? I noticed a little bit of a change there.
Oh, yeah. Well, one we're not talking about yet. So let's just say hi
Okay.
to our good friends over at the California Republican Assembly, and then USCombatGear.com.
Yeah, that's right, folks. They are in the description to links to their websites are in the description to this video. We very much appreciate you guys going there. We appreciate you checking them out. And if you like what you see, if you like the work that they're doing, and you like the products that they provide, then go ahead, spend some money with them, donate some money to them, and let them know that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. And with that, I think that puts a wrap on the week, doesn't it, Mike?
That's it. I'm out of here.
Look, hey, we appreciate you guys tuning in. You know, it's really fun to watch the numbers grow every week. More and more people are watching. More and more people are listening because you guys are telling your friends about the program. Keep up the good work. Keep letting folks know that this is the place where you can get 2A news, conservative views, and have a good time actually talking about it. At least that's what we try to
Have a good time. Have a
And
good
with that,
time.
my mother used to always say, "Boy, where's the money I gave you for singing lessons?"
But mom,
That's exactly what I would say. All right, folks. Hey, thank you so much for
my
tuning
mom
in.
used
You
to
guys
say, "Why
take
are you
care.
such a dumbass?"
We'll holler at you guys on Monday.